What's up, future expats and future immigrants? I'm back with a new video, and today we're talking all about what nobody tells you about moving abroad. We are currently in March 2026, and it seems like everywhere you look, everyone is moving abroad, preparing to move abroad, or trying to move abroad. And you're left thinking, where does that leave you, and is this experience right for you? And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm Britt, an American who's been living in Spain for over 6 years, and I've actually moved abroad 4 times. When I moved abroad for the first time, one of the first things that nobody absolutely prepared me for was travel medical insurance. I partner with Safetywing on this video because their Nomad Essential Insurance Plan is a travel medical insurance designed for digital nomads and for people living abroad. Safetywing's Nomad Insurance Essential Plan is flexible, works in over 180 plus countries, and you can even start it while already overseas. And I'll be sharing more details about this later, so be sure to stay tuned. After the COVID pandemic, it's no secret that moving abroad has truly exploded. More and more people continue to leave their home countries for new opportunities. This has become incredibly popular with remote workers and digital nomads. Now, here's what's super important about what no one tells you about moving abroad. First and foremost, moving abroad comes with a lot of change. So if you are someone who loves routine, loves familiarity, and hates the unknown, that's something that you should really consider when it comes to moving abroad, because moving abroad comes with a lot of changes. Almost every aspect of your life will change. And if you are not interested in rebuilding your life or expanding and immersing yourself into these changes, it's definitely going to be something to reconsider. Moving abroad can get messy, emotional, and also requires you to rebuild a lot of parts of your life from scratch. So if you are someone who loves to grow, loves change, and loves to transform, then moving abroad will be an incredibly rewarding experience for you. All right, so I think one of the biggest things a lot of people don't talk about when moving abroad is the emotional and personal toll that it takes on your life and your mental well being, because it is a lot, it is very overwhelming, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But I am definitely going to prepare you for some things that you might not have even thought about. So, starting with the initial honeymoon phase. So, when you first move to this place, let's say you move to Thailand, you might have the first 3 months be super amazing. And then once you feel a bit settled, you might start to get bored, you might start to get restless, or even worse, you might start to get really homesick. So, the problem with the initial honeymoon phase wearing out is you might not even want to be there anymore. You might not want to live there long term. So, it's important to also do staycations before you move abroad to get a taste and to get an idea of where you will be living, so this doesn't happen to you. I think the initial honeymoon phase also happens to a lot of people who are new to moving abroad. Maybe you haven't really researched that place that well, or maybe you are overly fantasizing it. And when you get there, you realize it's a different story when you're actually living in it. So it's really good to always do your research when you are thinking of where to move abroad, and also that you do staycation tests. I'm talking about living there for a month or 2 or even 3. The longer the better, because this will help with trial and error. So, piggybacking off of that point, I think another emotional toll that hits people a lot, especially if you've never moved abroad at all, is you might feel like you're losing your identity. And the reason for this is because you might feel like you're not able to express yourself in this new place. Maybe you don't know the language that well. Maybe you can't speak it that well. So you feel like you can't actually communicate. And this is why I think it's very important that whichever country you are moving to, you do make an effort to learn the language. By learning the local language, it's going to make your communication easier, and also the people around you, their communication easier. So it's definitely something that will not hurt you. It will definitely help you when you're moving abroad. So, adding on to the loss of identity, I think another big personal and emotional toll that comes with moving abroad is the feeling that you've changed, but then feeling when you've returned home, other people around you haven't changed. That will lead to a disconnect and might even lead to some fizzled relationships and friendships. And the last point I have about emotional and personal tolls when it comes to moving abroad is moving abroad might not be right for you if you are someone who has major FOMO, or if you cannot cope with missing big events, especially if it's like big birthdays, big family events, things like that. When you are moving abroad, you unfortunately can't split yourself in half and be in 2 places at once. So you are unfortunately going to be missing some events, and that might hit you really hard. It depends if you've never been away from family, but everybody takes this differently, and that might be something that is very hard for you to cope with, or maybe it's easy for you to cope with. That'll be something for you to determine. These type of life events are things like birthdays, weddings, funerals, and this eventually lets you realize that life does go on without you, unfortunately, and that is sometimes a hard pill to swallow for some people. And the next points that no one tells you about moving abroad has everything to do with social reality. So, for example, it is harder to make local friends than other expats who share your experience of being out of place. If you don't know the local language just yet, let that be one of your biggest motivators to make some local friends. Learn the local language, make some local friends, and you'll truly be immersing yourself in this new place. The next thing I want to say about social reality is even after learning the language, you may never feel 100% like a local, yet you may no longer feel like a tourist either, leading you to feel like a perpetual foreigner. Hopefully not, but this may be the case. All right, now let's talk about staying safe when you're moving abroad. Trust me when I say you definitely don't want to wait for something to happen to start thinking about this. One thing that helped me tremendously when moving abroad was having reliable travel medical insurance. Safetywing's Nomad Insurance Essential Plan is designed specifically for people living abroad and working internationally. Now, here are some of my favorite features with Safetywing's Nomad Insurance Essential Plan. They have expensive travel coverage in over 180 plus countries. Next, my favorite feature is their electronic theft add-on. You never know when someone's going to try to rob you, and this definitely helps, gives peace of mind. So to clarify, if your laptop, camera, AirPods, or other devices get stolen, you can get reimbursed as long as you report it and have proof of ownership. And in case you're curious, this is what SafetyWing covers. SafetyWing covers up to $3,000 per active insurance period, up to $1,000 per electronic, or up to $6,000 in your lifetime. Other important things to know for the add-on theft coverage for electronics is the theft needs to be reported to the police within 24 hours, and a written report must also be provided as proof that the report was made. And the next feature I really like is the USA coverage add-on. If you need to visit the US, you can have the same coverage there with reasonable copays for emergency or urgent care visits. It's very important to know that to be covered by this add-on, you must not be a US citizen or resident in any way, even if you have a different home country. So super important to take note of that. And the next part that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to moving abroad is all about paperwork and logistics. And this is a lot and it can get very overwhelming very quick. In my opinion, I think this is where it is a good time to ask for help, especially if you need it. So, if you are looking to move abroad or if you are already abroad and you're still having trouble with visa and paperwork, definitely look for relocation consultants or immigration lawyers. These people will be your best friends, and these are great team players to help you achieve your goal. We all know that paperwork isn't just annoying, it's very overwhelming and it takes a lot to get things done. It could be headache inducing. Visas, permits, and all of the paperwork take time, so definitely be sure to factor that in. And again, if you need help, be sure to work with people who are on your side, such as relocation consultants and immigration lawyers. This will not only save time, but it will also help you save stress and also help you minimize mistakes. Also, in any country that you don't speak the language, in case you need a translator or an immigration lawyer, this is where you definitely want to make sure that you're understanding everything exactly as you should. Depending where you move abroad to, bureaucracy can sometimes make paperwork feel extra overwhelming or it can just feel extra slow if you are not able to understand the language. And this is where it helps to get extra help and support if this is your situation. And now, last but certainly not least, moving abroad is an incredibly rewarding experience, but it doesn't come without doubts and it doesn't come without questions. Sometimes moving abroad makes you question everything. It makes you question if the move abroad was even worth it, how long you're going to stay, and if you should have even moved abroad to begin with. So, these are questions that are totally normal to pop up in your brain or in conversation if you are speaking about it with someone. You are human. Be sure to give yourself grace. It is a very big experience and there are a lot of changes that go into it. So just be sure to be kind to yourself, give yourself grace. If you are questioning certain things, that is normal. I personally wouldn't worry about these doubts unless it continues on for a year. That's when I would personally reevaluate to see if the move is still aligning. Moving abroad is a pretty magical experience. Don't let the obstacles unmotivate you. As always, I'm rooting for you, and if you need help with your move abroad, be sure to get in touch.